in Foxborough, where the Bills cemented the fact that they are the team now in the AFC East. A 38-9 dominating performance. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs put on a show. Gary, as you've watched this season with Buffalo, and now as they're poised to make a playoff run, are you believers in the Bills making a serious run to Tampa?
Absolutely. I don't know why you wouldn't be at this point, other than the Kansas City Chiefs are also incredible. But this is a Bills team that is now sitting here at 12-3. They just swept the Patriots for the first time since 1999, and they've got a young star quarterback. You mentioned Stephon Diggs. He said last night, I've got a young quarterback who is balling, and that is exactly right. Josh Allen, he threw his 34th touchdown pass last night. That is a new Buffalo Bills record. He now has 8 300-yard passing games. That is also a new Buffalo Bills record. So absolutely, the Bills are legit. They've got a chance to not only go to a Super Bowl, but if you get there, win one, and they're doing it with a third-year, 24-year-old quarterback, which is also pretty incredible.
The leap, Gary, for Josh Allen has been just mind-boggling, really, to see where he is. I think the most important factor here in recent weeks and then going into the postseason, and you mentioned, it's a matchup with Kansas City most likely if things were to play out as chalk. It's their defense. And it started slow, and it seemed to have found itself. And they don't have to be great. They just have to be good enough not to hold back this team, and that seems to be where they find themselves right now. Well, let's shift to maybe the other side of the coin. Not positivity coming out of Washington and with the Washington football team, and that's been a trend in recent weeks and recent years. Ron Rivera comes in, does his best to change the culture there, and there seems to be a shift in some degree. But Monday, surprising move when you look at when Dwayne Haskins was selected, how long he'd been in Washington, but it was just the straw that broke the camel's back there when you look at what happened Sunday afternoon, early evening. How surprised were you by the news that he was released?
Surprised on one hand because he's a former top 15 pick who's now been released before his second season is even completed. Unsurprised on the other because, in life and sports, you have to be better than your problems. And Dwayne Haskins was not. Through 2 seasons in Washington, he threw 12 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. His total QBR was well below the league average. So ineffective on the field, and then obviously irresponsible off of the field. He was recently seen, as you know, maskless at a party with strippers as if he's James Harden or something. But problem is he's not James Harden. James Harden is awesome at his job. Dwayne Haskins is not awesome at his job, and so now he'll be looking for a new job. All that said, you root for him to figure it out. He's only 23 years old. I made dumb decisions when I was 23 years old. I made dumb decisions when I was 33 years old. So hopefully he learns from this, gets better on the field and off, and we see him back starting in the NFL someday down the road.
Agreed. He just needs to learn how to be a pro, and this is the wake-up call. And it's not so much, as I understand it, look, the stuff off the field matters, but it was more what he was doing and not doing in the building. To be a quarterback in this league and to be a pro, you have to prepare week in and week out, and you have that responsibility. And that just seems, as reports have come out here in recent days since he was released, that seems to be as much a problem as anything. Those problems are fixable, and you hope that he makes those adjustments. But on the field in this division, there will be a division winner. Washington could have taken care of that Sunday afternoon and into the evening against a Carolina team who had nothing to play for, Gary, but they were outworked. They were out-hustled. They were outplayed in that game. But in the AFC, man, it is depth upon depth. You've got 5 teams right now that are 10-5, and there's only 4 playoff spots to be had among them. As you look at this picture and this cloudy, murky AFC playoff Week 17 scenario, which one do you seem most likely?
I think that you've got it pegged about right. Like, there's much more depth in the AFC, and so you've got these 5, 10-5 teams, competing for 4 spots. In the simplest terms, I would predict it to go this way: Tennessee wins and is in. Cleveland wins and is in. Baltimore wins and is in. And Indianapolis, which doesn't control its own destiny, that's a problem. But I think they also handle Jacksonville no problem. And then the Dolphins lose to Buffalo. As much as I believe in Fitz magic and respect it, I don't think he's in a position to, if he does enter that game, pull off an upset over Buffalo. So the Dolphins lose, eliminate themselves, and allow the Colts to be that other playoff team.
I'm with you to a large degree here, Gary. Pittsburgh and Buffalo both have something to play for. The 2 and 3 seed between them is still up for grabs, and you want to avoid Kansas City until an AFC Championship game, most likely. The home field and the division round all matter. But if there are players that are on the fringe of health, maybe you give them that week. Pittsburgh hasn't really had a bye all season. How does that go into their thinking? This, as we know, can affect results. And that Miami game, to me, is circled in that regard, where if they're not taking on a full steam ahead Buffalo group that's coming off a Monday night, short week, all those things, then their outlook looks a bit prettier. But it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a wacky Week 17, and that's what we hope for. So let's start with the Green Bay Packers. Sunday night, this game had a lot of juice to it. The snow was coming down, and all Aaron Rodgers and the Packers did was dominate a really good Tennessee Titans team. Do you think he also locked up the MVP with that performance?
I don't know about locked up, but he certainly took the lead, and that's just not my opinion. That is reflected in the betting markets. He has been terrific. And how great is it that, at the age of 37, in the same year that the Packers drafted a quarterback in the first round and clearly angered Aaron Rodgers, he is in this position to win an MVP. Obviously, his competition is probably only Patrick Mahomes, and I could envision a scenario where, Rodgers stinks this weekend, Mahomes is great, and it flips back the other direction. But at this point, there's no reason to think Aaron Rodgers is going to stink. I think he performs well enough in the final regular season game, and yes, probably does become an MVP once again at the age of 37.
So here's how I view this, Gary. I think that Mahomes is the most dominant and talented player in football right now. Aaron Rodgers, to me, is the MVP from start to finish. The consistency in which he's played with, the numbers reflect an MVP caliber season. So I think at this point, and to your point, he edges out Mahomes. We can't ignore Josh Allen, though. He's making a late push here, at least statistically. And look, our guy, Adam Schein's been on this bandwagon since day one, so he deserves a lot of credit. But you put those numbers side by side for Allen and Mahomes and Rodgers, he's going to be in some of those final votes, I would imagine. And much like this season, Gary, it's coming down to Week 17. Let's take the big picture view, though, here with Green Bay in the NFC. You teased it a little bit earlier. Is there anyone you see on that side, that could really compete with them and maybe grab them and take them out of this Tampa Super Bowl conversation?
Well, it's hard to imagine somebody going into Lambeau in an NFC Championship game and winning under what I assume would be less than ideal weather circumstances. It's possible, but again, Green Bay is clearly the favorite. If you're looking for a team that could, theoretically challenge them, probably the Saints. They're sitting here at 11-4, and I know they recently had a 2-game losing streak, but the first loss in that stretch was without Drew Brees. The second one was to the Kansas City Chiefs, no big deal. They bounced back from that, put 52 on the Vikings, and so if you're looking for a next best in the NFC, probably the Saints, and the idea that we could get an NFC Championship game between a 41-year-old Drew Brees and a 37-year-old Aaron Rodgers would be a pretty fun story.
I'm with you. I think it's the Saints, and that's about it. There's conversations that could be had for maybe the Seahawks, I guess the Rams, but now Goff's hurt. I just think the fact that Green Bay has home field is the ultimate sort of, they get the edge in any conversation. And look, they beat the Saints in the Dome earlier this year, but the Saints get back Michael Thomas maybe, and the conversation shifts. Well, GP, let's shift to hoops here on our final topic. The Lakers 2-2 to start this season. Anything to really read into here?
Not really. I'm not too concerned. I mean, I would prefer the Lakers be 4-0 as opposed to 2-2 as the favorite to win the 2021 NBA title. But LeBron James has been doing this for a long time. He's made it clear he's not that interested in chasing regular season win totals. He understands that, whether the Lakers are the 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, whatever seed, if he has to steal home court advantage from an opponent in the playoffs, all it takes is a 35-point triple-double on the road in Game 1, and you've got that done. He's done it before. I suspect he can do it again. So at the end of the day, when the bright lights come on, his team is always there. At the end of the day, when the bright lights come on, he performs. I imagine that this will go similarly. I'm not going to freak out about December losses.
Yeah, 2-2 seems a bit early to be hitting any panic buttons.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.